just to show off more of these gender fluid hitboxes, non-binary hitboxes, deciding if they're gonna get hit or not. Um, and I'll talk about something else as well, just to show how. And thanks to Dymo for sending me this. Murphy it was like silly comment, share support the channel, whatever. So basically, we can see this red thing right here. Clearly, it's in Kimberly's like little hurt box thingy. Man, it's really in Zangief's hurt box thingy, but none of these are hitting. None of these are actually hitting, and they all whiff. But that, even though it's not hitting, she has to block it. It just goes to show you how fucking pre-planned this game is. That doesn't. I mean, this is why, you know what? This is actually why, you know what? I don't know anything about coding or anything like this, because when I think about someone coding like this kind of audacity, this kind of stupidness, I just roll my head. It just shows that the game was so pre-planned to just such a ridiculous extent. Just absurd. You know what I mean? That hits. I mean, just let's assume there's not even a hurt box or a hit box. Let's just look at the characters' bodies. They're not even fucking touching each other. These are, that's, it's hitting her braids, whatever. But you know, that's clearly, and just it's ridiculous. But answering a couple other things, some guy was in my comments saying like, oh well, not every game is going to be ever as amazing as Street Fighter 4 was. Blah blah blah. I never said Street Fighter 4 is some amazing game. I mentioned Street Fighter 4 because I was talking about, it's kind of a hard topic to, describe or accurately, maybe talk about maybe, but there is a feel to games, and some games feel good. And I was actually using Street Fighter 4 kind of ironically because I'm not a super big fan of Street Fighter 4, but I was saying that some things feel good in Street Fighter 4. That's the only reason I mentioned that in that video, I guess. Um, And there's some comment about 3D games, that this game is now a 3D game in terms of whiffing. I will say playing this game, I don't get the same vibe. Like when of course I did, right? Of course I predicted Street Fighter 5 as well when I said how Street Fighter 5 was going to turn out. I said that Street Fighter 5, to me, when I was theorizing that game when I first saw the footage, unless you count the exact first footage where characters had different even special moves, that very first version of the game. But once first footage of actual people playing, I was like, this looks like a game that looks like it's obviously still a Street Fighter game, but you could tell it was a game that was designed to bring in a 3D audience by the way it was played, by the way that moves work, right? The way that you tap a person fishing for counter hits and everything like that. And Street Fighter 4 did have some of that to an extent, but not like, the way that Street Fighter 5 is played. But Street Fighter 5, a pre-planned game in its own way as well, you know. But Street Fighter 5, when I looked at it and the way it is, you can tell it's a game kind of designed to bring in that 3D audience. And I even said that Street Fighter 5, when I looked at it, I would not be surprised if the idea of Street Fighter 5, excuse me, was also an idea that they had for Tekken versus Street Fighter when you look at how those games are played actually. But so I guess what I'm getting at for that comment that this is now a 3D game, actually, looking at this game when I watch it, I don't get 3D vibes from it. I guess if that makes sense. Of course, the hurt boxes and hit boxes are wonky, but moves having wonky hurt boxes and hit boxes to me does not necessarily automatically make me correlate something with a 3D game, I guess, if you will. I guess that's maybe a different topic, but I don't look at Street Fighter 6 and I don't, my brain doesn't instinctively think, oh, this is a Street Fighter made for a 3D audience to bring in a 3D audience. I don't get that kind of vibe at all, especially even if you watch the game, the way that the game is played. Now, of course, I definitely think that looking at the game that, it's a game that they want everyone to feel like the star player. They're taking a lot of, thought process out of the game, feels like a lot of, like I said, just, oh, my Slimer Rush versus your Slimer Rush. Oh, my meter versus your meter, blah, 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 which is, I can appreciate that from its own aspect, but, it's definitely, it is what it is. But again, I guess, so what I'm just saying is, on that sort of argument, No, I would say this game, I do not, this game does not strike me as a 3D game personally when I look at it. I don't get that kind of vibes, even if it has wonky hitboxes and people are saying, "Oh, this move is mid here. Oh, this move shouldn't be that." Technically, in Street Fighter, there's tons of moves that you could say where a move is aimed down on you, but you don't have to block it as an overhead, like a Ryu's hop kick. It's not an overhead, right? You know what I mean? So I guess from that perspective, I don't agree. This game does not strike me as a necessarily 3D audience, kind of bringing in that demographic of people. So I don't agree with that comment actually. Um, Besides that too, people ask like, well, who are you going to play? Who are you going to play? I'm not going to play. And I've said this before. People, they can hate all they want. I don't play a lot of video games. I didn't even have the game in yesterday. To be honest, people have no idea. Like, all the crazy haters, like your health record is fake, whatever, dude. You guys have no idea how much fucking pain I am in every single day. I was in bed almost all day yesterday. I was in so much fucking pain, dude. Like my health record is real. Being alive hurts. Okay, dude. It is painful for me to be alive, dude. So I don't waste my time playing video games that I don't like, right? I don't mind talking about a video game, and talking about a video game is still a way that I can enjoy video games because I still enjoy the idea of video games, even if I don't really play them anymore. I mean, when I came back and I played on Fightcade, what was it like? Oh God, it's almost 2 years ago now, maybe, right? That's not a joke. That had been years and years and years and years, since I played. I don't even know. When I've showed those videos, I actually had a friend go, "Can you look up your Street Fighter matches? See how much guy was played?" Because he was like the only guy that I basically played Street Fighter with. You know what I mean? A lot of these people, when I see how much they've played video games, they've played one video game in just the past couple years more than I've played every fucking video game, looking at my hours played, whatever, blah, 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 whatever, combined in like 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? I just don't waste my time playing video games that I don't like, right? So I would like, if I liked the game, I'd be more curious about playing it, but I don't feel a super big desire to play it. I mean, I had trouble playing games that I even like. You know what I mean? And that's me saying. People say, "Oh, you love that game, Alpha One, blah blah blah." You love Cards. No, I don't love those games at all. I appreciate those games for a certain aspect of them, but even that, I don't really play them, dude. It'd been years since I'd played them. Whatever, again, almost 2 years ago now when I had played it again, right? So it's hard enough for me to sit down and play a game that I don't hate. And that's not, I guess that's not to say I don't hate Street Fighter 6. I appreciate for it for what it is from a certain perspective. That was my stomach. I didn't fart, okay? If the microphone picked that up, that was not a fart. I did not fart on stream. That was my stomach, okay? Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't hate Street Fighter 6 either. You know what I mean? I don't feel compelled to play it. The positives don't outweigh the negatives of it for me, but and that's what I always tell people too. You're only young once, right? Why would you waste time doing something that, if you don't really like a game? I understand that, when you're young, maybe you want to be part of a clique or this is the new thing, so I got to play it. But, I've never felt that desire. I can feel the desire, I guess, if something is new. So, well, God, even saying that, it was a while before I even looked at Street Fighter 6. Remember that? Technically, it was a while, actually. You know what I mean? I was in Turkey, I think, when they first started showing footage, and I had other stuff going on. So I just, you know, God, and actually, technically, yeah, I guess when I was in Japan for months, I didn't look at anything Street Fighter 6 was. So I guess I kind of called my own thing there. So actually, you know what? Technically, I don't even always look at video game stuff. So actually, you know what? But you get the point, right? You know what I mean? If you're not really into something, why waste your time with it, right? I always say if you keep supporting video game companies that put out stuff that you don't like, then they're never going to change it, right? So but I understand the idea that I guess if something is new, you at least want to try it out. I understand that perspective. So Yeah, I guess there's a few things to talk about today. Remember, if you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel. If you want super chat, PayPal, Patreon, fuck my titties on a Sunday. The end.